Spider-Man Homecoming comes out in less than a week, so what better way to get ready than to get a rundown of everything you should know before you walk into theaters on July 7th. So let's get started. Spider-Man Homecoming, starring Tom Holland and directed by Jon Watts, marks the 6th Spider-Man film in the past 15 years. After the unsuccessful Amazing Spider-Man franchise, Sony was in talks with Marvel Studios to collaborate to make a Spider-Man movie, and those conversations were leaked after the Sony hack in 2014. Tom Holland's Spider-Man actually made an appearance in Captain America Civil War last year, giving us a small tease of this iteration of Peter Parker. The official synopsis reads, "Thrilled by his experience with the Avengers, Peter returns home where he lives with his Aunt May under the watchful eye of his new mentor Tony Stark. Peter tries to fall back into his normal daily routine, distracted by thoughts of proving himself to be more than just your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. But when the Vulture emerges as a new villain, everything that Peter holds most important will be threatened." This iteration of Spider-Man promises us to see Peter Parker deal with the daily struggles that any 15-year-old would face, such as high school and relationships, the friendly kind and the romantic kind, all while trying to save the city. Now, this wouldn't be a Spider-Man film without some classic Spider-Man characters. Michael Keaton will be playing the villain of this film, Adrian Toomes, better known as the Vulture. In the comics, Adrian became enraged after he found out that his business partner was embezzling funds, swindling him of an equal share in pay. Toomes took one of his inventions, a flight harness, and used it to commit crimes. In the film, Adrian works for the Department of Damage Control for the United States government, created by Tony Stark, tasked with cleaning up the aftermaths of huge battles. Adrian creates his winged suit from the Chitauri technology that was featured in the invasion in New York during the first Avengers film. His character is described as a regular person who becomes a villain, just like how a regular person can become a superhero, the dark version of Tony Stark, a businessman with a family, thinking only about them and their needs, which at times the audience will agree with the points and decisions that he makes. Jacob Batalon will be playing Ned, Peter's video gaming best friend who takes aspects from various Marvel characters. Although he doesn't have a last name, it's speculated that he could be Ned Leeds, who was a reporter for the Daily Bugle and later took the identity as Hobgoblin after he was brainwashed by the first Hobgoblin, Roderick Kingsley. Liz Allen will be played by Laura Harrier. Liz Allen is one of Peter Parker's love interests in the comics, and she'll also be Peter's crush in the film. She'll be a senior actually, and not a sophomore like Peter and Ned are. She's smart, driven, and she's also the captain of the academic decathlon. Flash Thompson will be played by Tony Revolori. In the film, Flash won't be the occasional bully who's a jock, but instead he'll be a rich and snobbish kid in order to reflect today's views on bullying. And lastly, Aunt May will be played by Marissa Tomei. Aunt May has been reimagined to be a much younger person, considering that she is the sister of Peter's dead mom, so why does she have to be 2 generations older? Aunt May also made a guest appearance in Captain America Civil War last year. Other characters that will be featured in the film that aren't exactly Spider-Man characters are Tony Stark, played by Robert Downey Jr., and Michelle, played by Zendaya Coleman. Tony will provide Peter with his high-tech suit that has an AI system similar to Jarvis and Friday called Karen. He'll also serve as something of a mentor to Peter in this film. Michelle is one of Peter's classmates who's very smart and intelligent. Zendaya did note that her character can come off as weird, but to her personally, she thinks that she's cool. And now onto some minor characters. Aaron Davis is featured in the film, played by Donald Glover. Davis is actually the uncle of the Miles Morales Spider-Man. Clearly, the film is planting a seed for the Miles Morales Spider-Man if they ever want to bring him into the fold, and it was just recently confirmed that Miles Morales does exist in the MCU. Davis was actually a criminal who went by the codename Prowler and played a key role in Miles gaining his powers. After Peter Parker died in the comics, a scientist at Oscorp used Parker's blood to recreate the formula that gave Peter his powers in the first place. Davis stole that formula along with some other things, and one of the genetically modified spiders stragged along and bit Miles when he visited his uncle at his house. Tiny DeLee will be playing Anne-Marie Hogue, the head of the U.S. Department of Damage Control. Martin Starr will be playing Mr. Harrington, the academic decathlon coach. Starr was featured in The Incredible Hulk and was later identified as the kid genius Amanda's Cho. Jon Favreau will reprise his role as Happy Hogan, and Gwyneth Paltrow will reprise her role as Pepper Potts. There'll be 2 versions of the Shocker in this film. Bokeem Woodbine will be playing the Herman Schultz version of the Shocker, and Logan Marshall Green will be playing Jackson Montana Bryce. They'll be a part of Adrian's crew, and they'll be using a modified crossbow gauntlets that fire vibro blasts. Michael Cernus will be playing Phineas Mason, aka Tinkerer. He'll be the one that creates all the tech for Vulture and his crew. Kenneth Chow, who previously played Jim Morita in the first Captain America film as a member of the Howling Commandos, will play a descendant of Morita as the principal of Midtown High. Michael Mando will be playing Scorpion. Garcilla Beavis will be playing Doris Tomes, Adrian's wife. Several of Peter's classmates are actually characters from the comics, extremely minor characters, mostly bullies that sided with Flash, with the exception of 2 characters. Cindy Moon, aka superheroine Silk, played by Tiffany Espenson, and Betty Brant, a love interest for Peter in the comics who worked at the Daily Planet as a personal secretary. Betty will be played by Angoria Rice. All these characters will be a part of the academic decathlon. Captain America will be making a cameo in a PE instruction video, and Ant-Man is also expected to appear in archive footage as well. And lastly, Stan Lee will be making his expected cameo. So, are you up to speed with everything about Spider-Man Homecoming, and how excited are you about this film coming out? Leave your thoughts down in the comments below, and be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more Marvel videos, and be on the lookout for my review for Spider-Man Homecoming. Other than that, my name is Jobi-Wan Kenobi. May the Force be with you, and have a marvelous day from the LA to the DC.